I interviewed over 20 Magic the Gathering content creators. And also had a blast at MagicCon Chicago, thank you for asking. And no, unfortunately Spencer couldn't make it, but that doesn't mean I wasn't sent on a secret pin trading mission.
I'm waiting for them to get here. It's 5, almost 6 in the morning. I got here at 5:15.
They got there pretty quick, I'll be honest. I tried to do some editing in the car and it was a little too shaky for that. So we just kind of packed up our stuff and got ready to go out. Also, thanks for that.
Alright, fine. MagicCon Chicago, guys.
Yeah, after being briefly ignored, I decided to take my anger out on Brian. We stopped by some trash cans to calibrate the gimbal so we can have some smooth camera.
MagicCon, this way.
Good morning, have fun.
He's right there. It's Dibbletham. We found him. Look at, wait, this way. Look at Dibbletham. We found him.
Now, sometimes I just like to be weird. We checked a map and I did something a little weird.
Hey man,
Hi.
how you doing?
I got a question.
I have an answer.
How's your day been?
So far, so good.
Awesome.
How's yours?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you.
Then we made it to the show floor.
Hey, it's Joey.
We decided to walk around for the first day, let everybody play some games so that everybody can get used to everything going on. I'll be real, there were some more important things to do.
It's Douglas Schuler. The Joven guy. D&D Beyond. Beyond. There's a tiefling in there, Steven. There's a tiefling. A tiefling.
Yeah, day one, not much to do except enjoy the con. We checked out Creator Central, and we didn't know if we could be there without a creator badge, so we kind of left. Thought we should check out some of the show floor and see what people have to offer.
Thick?
They are thick.
Oh, so that's $45 right there.
Yeah, we drop it, we buy them.
Yep.
It's like,
we just
wasn't
rolled it,
expecting to
that's
spend $45 right now. Hopefully the Playmat League it's going to be as good as that. That's it.
Let's go.
What's up? How you doing?
Love the channel, man. It's been really great.
I appreciate it, yeah. No, I didn't think I'd meet anybody here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good last year.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. I don't have a good memory. My bad.
It's okay.
You can say hi to YouTube if you want.
Hi, YouTube. How you doing? Oh. My favorite store. Cards, autographs, ticket, manga, comics, VHS.
At this point, we just needed to go downstairs to the command zone and get Brian, who happened to get a very expensive magic pack that they won't open. And while we couldn't get him to open it, at least we stalled for enough time to get a photo op with Rachel Weeks. And then we ended up playing our first game of the con. I played our Tet Changelings, and I won handily. And just about that time, we kept getting a bunch of Game Nights live advertisements. But that's not the important thing. Who is that? Anyway, different strangers sat down with us, and I decided to pull out my Oops All WinCon deck, and not the one that's a secret lair. I'll be having words with you wizards. Mine has every playable WinCon and Magic. Well, everything but Battle of Wits and Hedron Alignment, because I can't technically win with those in a legal commander deck, but every other legal one that I can win in here. We then decided to take a little bit of a break.
Getting food from Steven and them. We just finished up our first game, and now we're thinking about heading out and seeing whether or not we're going to be doing anything additional before Brian goes to his ticketed event. Otherwise, we might just kind of chill out here for a minute and see what's going on.
So we decided to take a little bit of a break and eat. But, uh-oh, guess what I forgot?
Don't tell Spencer I did forget his pins, and I am going to just try and trade these up to get what he wants and probably give his pins back as well.
Don't you dare tell him that this happened. Also, they have tattoos at MagicCon now?
Do I get a tattoo? Do I get a tattoo today?
strap on my game case decided to break on me, which, you know, great timing.
No time to grieve, I must move on.
I ended up looping it through itself so I could throw it over my shoulder like a potato sack.
You just gotta adapt. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Did you not know the quote?
We ended up buying a few more pins just in case.
They'll never know. They'll never know. It is done. You missed it. It's been done. You record everything else today except for the one time that I do something slightly creatively intuitive and smart.
That's why you pay me to know that.
I don't pay you at all.
We ended up meeting Hugh Jackman.
That's really cool.
But then when you least expect it, they just appear. I don't even know what to do about it. Anyway, we decided to go and pick up our stuff. The playmats weren't going to do them today, but it looked like some people had them, so we thought we might as well try.
God, I wish these lines weren't so long.
No playmats, but...
Hi, totally trading the pins that Spencer gave me for a secret mission that I didn't immediately mess up.
That one. Is this the magic one?
It was a lot harder than you said it would be, Spencer. Apparently they can say no. Go to the table, see if somebody comes up. Oh wait, I think there's 2 people looking for 2.
We ended up getting another game in with some really fun people, to be honest. I played my baby Abdel Adrian. Let's see how that went.
How did Abdel play?
It's like you think it's not so bad, and then it progressively gets worse, and then all of a sudden it's like an ant. You know what I'm saying? You bring an ant, you bring one ant in your house, and then all of a sudden one ant brings like 15 ants, and then all of a sudden I got robbed.
He was one of the most fun people to play with, but then I found a way to fix my bag because it was hurting.
It was sharp, and it was hurting me, so I busted it up. So those are Spencer's pins.
Yeah, apparently the only thing I forgot was where I put them. Yeah, silly me. I didn't spend a lot of money on that. When we finally were able to catch up with Brian again, we decided to leave the event, and Brian, in the most goober way possible, tried to see if he could get his playmat. And they were closed. He didn't even know that.
All of it.
You can hear it?
I can see you messing with the things.
We ended up leaving and then checking into our hotel room, and then we decided to go check out a hot pot restaurant for the first time. Well, Steven and I's first time. Brian has definitely done this before. They gave us little aprons so that we wouldn't ruin our shirts, some of us a little more enthusiastic than others. Only a little. And they have little robot waiters even. It was really cool. I believe it's what the kids call kawaii. And while we were awkward about the hot pot at first, eventually we just kind of got the hang of it. It's not that hard. Our favorite is Thai Tom Yum. I'm putting it in the video. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. He was the only one who could stop me. What is that? Well, the next day I started off bright and early getting some Starbucks, and the goobers just kind of waited for me. Ugh. How rude. Either way, we decided to go back and head to the con. Steven did a little dance, and then we were at our favorite trash can to calibrate the gimbal. Then I struck my favorite pose, and went on to do my morning routine.
And my mother did the
Question.
How's it going?
How's your day going?
It's going wonderfully. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Then we actually got our playmat, so I found a table and just kind of, I don't know, rolled it up. It was a random table, not really anybody there, you know.
Yeah. Like the videos.
Thanks.
Yeah, we both
Nice
played.
to meet you.
We were off in the corner. I had the Turbo Frog tag.
Oh, yeah.
You doing
guys-
well?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Enough to buy something like that. Not the guy, the camera.
Hi, Chad.
I didn't buy you. Don't look sad.
And after that, it was all business.
Promo back if you answer some questions.
Sure.
I have a few questions for you about the bracket system.
Okay.
In your own words, what is the bracket system?
A little bit of nonsense mixed with some good ideas.
I mean, Yeah. Another question. Do you think the bracket system is helpful so far or not so much?
I think the bracket system is good at communicating some important elements about what people need to talk about with regards to commander decks and how they line up with each other. I think specifically the game changer list is a very important thing and a very good idea. I think the specifics of how the brackets have been communicated is a little mushy, but I think it's a movement in the right direction.
Okay. What cards up to 3 do you think should be added to the Game Changers list?
Ooh. I haven't really given that a terrible amount of thought. I do think that communicating like specifically what you mean by some of the things that like mass land destruction and things like that is like what I've seen a lot of people go like, does this count as this? I think the most important thing really is like improving communication, give people tools for communication. Like I've seen a lot of people who responded to the brackets and game changers things with like, oh, but I have this deck and it's a whatever because it has Cyclonic Rift and Ristic Study and some other things. It's like, yes, that's the point. The point is communicating that your deck does stronger things than you think it does because those cards independently are incredibly powerful.
And if there was any cards that you would remove, what would it be?
I think they're all good to be on there. I would probably put, getting kind of back to the previous question, like more of the tutors on there. It's weird that like Worldly Tutor isn't on there, for instance. Tutor cards, I basically played almost no tutor cards in any of my decks.
Yeah.
And that's not just because of the power level thing. I think that it's important to recognize the impact they have just in the overall gameplay experience of like the extra time that you take on your turn. Because you're like, I'm going to cast Worldly Tutor. What am I going to get?
Yeah.
Like literally 0 of my decks have Worldly Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Demonic Tutor. I have one deck with Enlightened Tutor because it's built around anti-joins up. I think it's very important to sort of recognize like the gameplay implications in addition to the power level implications of a lot of these cards.
Do you think your decks are fairly placed in the bracket system?
I haven't really looked very carefully, so I think some of them are kind of silly. Like for instance, my Ur-Dragon deck, which is definitively the most powerful deck that I have, if I cut like a card, it would, according to that, be like bracket 2.
Yes,
so okay, and I think that one of the things that the bracket system does not communicate very well is the synergy between cards, right? It largely is like a deck that is full of cards that would be appropriate in a precon. Precons are really good these days. Outside of the game changer cards, it's not really easy to communicate what that means. And I think that that's something that, like, you know, how much acceleration is in your deck isn't something that's communicated by the bracket system. And I think that that's actually a very important thing to understand the power level of decks.
That's very fair. And if there's one major thing you could change about the bracket system, what would it be?
I don't know, maybe we go from 1 to 10 so every deck could be a 7 again.
Oh, that's better. Thank you very much for your time.
And just like that, we were scouting for talent.
Awesome. All right, so it's about the bracket system. In your own words, how would you define the bracket system?
The bracket system is a pre-Rule 0 that allows you to skip a lot of the Rule 0 questions.
What is the bracket system?
It's the experience that you are hoping to get out of your play, not exactly power level.
So what is the purpose of the bracket system?
Because people are too lazy to talk to each other.
Okay, yeah. Do you think the bracket system so far is helpful? Why or why not?
The bracket system is incredibly helpful because, like I said before, it lets you skip parts of Rule 0 conversation.
Actually, I've been playing a lot of bracketed games all day. That's the whole purpose of this con for me. Yeah. Right now, I think the infographic that is published needs just to be worked on. If you read it, it actually is not like, oh, my deck is a 3, therefore it is a power level 3. No. It is not that. It's not a power level.
Look, I've been trying to get something like the bracket system done for a very long time, so having it actually formalized gives me validation that what I was doing actually meant something and is like legitimately worth attempting. Here's a system where you don't even have to say I'm playing anything. I'm like, oh, my deck's 2. Anything that will get people playing faster with the right people to play with is worth doing.
So you come in saying, I have a bracket 3. That allows a player to go, oh, okay, so it's like a mid-level, and it has some game changers in it, has some extra turns possibly. We can skip that section of the the Rule 0 conversation about what your deck is trying to do, but then we can go into the, okay, so what does your deck want to do?
I think it's good. It's led to some really good games. I've had the people that understood the intent behind it. I've had really good games. I brought a 1. It was all Evil Dead references, and I had somebody, who then decided, well, I'm going to actually try to have nothing but farm animals, right? So it's like stuff like that, right?
So you think it's working now as it is?
No.
Not yet.
I think this is a great place to start. We have to start somewhere.
Yeah, it has to start somewhere.
But we're not where we're gonna be, and I don't think. And I'm like, dude, any system's got tweaking. Nothing is ever perfect.
It's one of my biggest gripes with the original level 10 through 1 power system was just like, oh, so this is a 7. Okay, what does that mean?
Everything's a 7.
Everything's a 7.
Now everything so far seems like a 2, but people kind of know now a little bit.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a misunderstanding that I think that a lot of people have with the bracket system right now is they think that it's a power level system. It's not a power level system. It's telling you what might be in the deck. From there, you have the conversation of how juiced is that deck. Okay?
Exactly. I think that's actually a great way to put it. And so we do have all the game changer cards here. What would you add if you could?
More of red and green cards.
What are you talking about?
Worldly Tutor, which is, by the way, the same thing as this, right? So you have Worldly Tutors, you have Seedborn Muse, you have all of those cards.
Yeah,
you have
Seedborn Muse isn't even on there.
Exactly.
Torment of Hailfire and that stupid slug.
It's a joke.
Coxrill can go to hell and die.
It's so on brand.
I would like Grizzled Brand removed from the ban list and moved onto the Game Changers list.
Oh, okay.
I would add... so I'm a CDH player. I personally do not like Rograk. I think it should be banned as a commander entirely because it makes it so that a deck has a free extra color and free spell every day.
It's just a little guy.
It's just a little guy that can be sacrificed to so many spells.
If you were to remove any of them, what would you do?
Opposition Agent and Droneth Magistrate. At least Droneth Magistrate I kind of understand. It's like, oh, the spirit of the format is to play your commander, and if I can't play it, that's rough.
Yeah.
And every time I've played it, it's mostly been bad unless it's in my humans deck, but not because, or it's been good because of my humans deck, and that's because it's a human more than anything else.
I think that it's perfectly fine as is. As a CEDH player, having the Game Changers list means we have our own ban list for CEDH that is never touched in a way.
Do you think that your decks currently are placed correctly on the list?
Oh, you know what? The funniest thing in the world is I looked after they put the bracket system up. My strongest deck, the deck that I pull out at the end of the night, the deck that is gonna thrash the hell out of everybody, is barely a 3. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
I make budget decks.
Yeah.
Like, my strongest was a 3.
Here's the thing. One of my decks has a Gaia's Cradle in it.
Yeah.
And it is a 2. My Tajik deck, my signature deck, has Jessica's Will, Mana Vault, and it has like some other stuff. It is a 1 because it is desperate for help. And they're like, your deck is so bad, you can have these.
Take it. So do you think your decks as they exist fit well within the bracket system right now?
My goal was to make them as min-maxing of each a number, but see, that sounds weird.
People have been like, oh, they're a bad actor. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, no, I'm min-maxing in the way where if I'm in a bracket 1, my goal to make this the best number 1 is not by the card power level, it's by how flavorful this deck is. My 1 is literally, I have a Sword of Zombies deck because it's Linda, because it's the Evil Dead deck. I need an Elbrus because the Kandarian Dagger. Pierce Steel Paladin because it's got Ash. And I'm like, okay, this card is terrible in this deck, but I'm playing it because it's funny.
Oh yeah. So I'm a CDH player, but I am a Magic player at heart. I play everything. I have one CDH deck and I have like 20 casual decks. They're all 2s. I don't think I might have like one game changer in like my best. No, it's not even a game changer. I have one extra turn spell in my best casual deck that I brought. I have a goofy custom card deck that I built that is just very not high power level at all. Right?
It's all themed. Everything's there.
Well, it's Pikmin. I made custom cards and they're Pikmin, and I made a custom set out of it, and then I decided to make a commander deck with some of the cards to show it off.
If there's anything you change about the game change, or the bracket system, I should say, what would it be?
I would like to see a little bit more delineation between 4 and 5.
It's not my problem to decide.
That's fair. I'll be real.
Honestly, as of right now, I think just getting a better infographic out there. And then on top of that, I think it's really important to maybe tighten up the Game Changers list a little bit. Yeah. I think the idea is good. I really like the idea. This is V1.
The games I've played seem pretty all right.
Yeah.
But you can't stop bad actors in any way.
Exactly. If somebody wants to roll up and pub stomp, they're going to pub stomp no matter what system, right? So.
But either way, thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Those are great points. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so
for coming
much.
here. And I hope you get good polls.
Oh, me too. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
After this, we decided to go walk a bit. Might have checked out the tattoos again.
No, I don't need it.
But then I was back in line, time to do some more interviews.
So, in your own words, what is the purpose of the bracket system?
The bracket is to call out those a-holes like me who play those rough cards out there. That's right. I know your heuristic studies and your smoldering tides. Yeah, I'm in the same class as you, but I know I am a scumbag, all right? I never hide that fact.
The bracket system is an easier way to understand quicker what they're to anticipate.
I think that it also helps with like deck construction a little bit. When you look at it, you're like, oh, is this card too powerful for this level? And as you're trying to gauge that, we now have at least some better standards for like gauging out what is better for specific pods and levels.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to kind of keep nerves down at the table, keep anger down, because when everyone comes to the table saying, it's a 7, it's a 7. If it's not a 7, everyone's going to be pissed and the game's going to be less fun. It's a way for everyone to stay on the same level, have the same understanding, and have a better time overall.
And it's for people like me to get called out and let you know that we are savages, okay? We eat sandwiches off the ground.
That's great. I think it's to help new players feel more welcome in random environments.
No, it's the Scooby-Doo pull the mask off and let you know, Jinkies, you is old man Gretchen who's the horrible person out there. Yeah, I'm looking at you who play Expropriate like that's a regular card, and then you cheated out. You scumbags. You can't even play the 9 to ruin the table's life.
There's a bracket system?
Let me tell you about other things that need to go on this list, okay? All right, first of all, take prime time. All prime time ain't never done nothing to nobody.
There's more questions.
You're answering the next ones. Do you think the bracket system right now is working? Why or why not?
I know that there's a lot of people who have issues with it. They're like, it doesn't perfectly fix everything, so why use it? But I think that as long as we start like with a shell of it, if people start getting used to it more and we start making those changes that do need to be made, that like it serves as a decent starting place.
We get so used to just building decks, playing it, it gets people thinking about like, oh yeah, maybe I should be able to communicate and find a way that I know my deck enough to communicate it more, and that gets them thinking about it. The more we bring it up, I think it's going to be just better for quality play.
What we found, especially at our local LGS, is that new players are having a hard time coming into the format because they just want to learn the game and they're kind of getting pub stumped. It's setting a tone for like, okay, if you come in, this is what to expect. And I know it's not 100%. I mean, this is just an intro. You're not going to have everything figured out. That's why they're asking for people to give comments, to test, and give their feedback because they want to make Magic more incorporative to other people who've never played before.
Yeah, I've loved it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a nice thing because I typically I only had like 2 bracket cards, all my decks combined. So now there's like a place for me to be like, oh, I can call this out and never have to see a Smothering Tithe again. Never have to see a Heuristic Study again. Never have to see a Dran with Magistry. Never have to see a Boring Klex again. Never have to see a Cyclonic Riptor or a Force of Will again. Who would run these? Who would run these cards?
Savages.
I don't know.
Could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
Any one of us. Any one of us. But yeah, definitely I love this because it's a way to start conversation, especially for new players. I also noticed that when newer players are coming in, they're trying to make their decks, stay on pace and on par with the people who are already playing. And it's just going to keep increasing the power of those decks. So we got to find some type of parity where everybody can have a place to fit.
Let me speak on this.
Your turn is over.
You ever ask me how many cards I have in my hand again? We already know you casted Jeskai Will. We don't care. I am just tired of hearing that questions. We know what you're about to do.
Up to 3 cards that any of you would want to add to the Game Changers list.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of people like this dissecting this and being like, I can't believe this card's not on here. Yeah. And I've got a couple of those. I'm a mono red player. I love red. There are only 2 cards of ours that are good enough or like at that level. It's insulting. We deserve more. Where's Deflecting Swat? Where's Gamble?
There needs to be different lands in the Game Changer because lands are accessible basically by any deck, right? Because as long as they fit the colors or they're colorless lands, or like Urza Saga, I think definitely needs to be considered a Game Changer because not only is it a tutor, but it is a artifact enabler as well, all for free just for your land drop.
I'm just seeing that there are a couple tutors on here, feeling targeted in black, so just making sure if we're going to go tutors, get them all out of there. Yeah, a lot of these are cards I can't afford anyway, so I'm not
That's pretty much the common theme.
Add Farewell.
Yeah.
I want to see that no more. I think Teferi's protection power level wise would fit there. And we got to take more from green. Let's throw burgeoning on there. Mix it up a little bit. Get a little more green down.
Green definitely needs more representation on it.
Red and green got away scot-free in this one.
Honestly, everything blue. Everything If it's blue on there, everything.
Even one of Ken's decks. Let's take his deck. Forget what I said. They did an amazing job, but I think if we just take Ken's deck list and make that the Game Changers list, we'll be good to go.
Honestly,
anything in his deck.
I feel attacked. 90% of the stuff on this list I've played before.
See, so
if there's anything you want to remove from the bracket system,
I think Jin Gitaxis has done nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
Nothing to nobody.
I believe Ristic Study has getting a dumb deal. All you got to do is pay the one. Pay your taxes.
Always pay your tax. It's tax season. Not brought to you by H&R Block.
That just invalidated everything you've ever said. No, I keep it all on there. I think they did a great job. I did nothing off. I don't want to see any of these cards, so I want to play in my little bracket 2 happy place.
I put Field of the Dead on here in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I guess that is a very good point. Field of the Dead.
I think the ones that immediately stood out to me were Jin Gitaxis and Vorinclex. For Vorinclex specifically, if someone pays 8 mana and plays a giant creature and I can't deal with it, I've got a lot of other problems currently going on. If someone slams something down for 8, 9, 10 mana, it should shake the table. And so I think Vorinclex should be fine.
Because we also have these big Eldrazi's out here with like Annihilator 2 and all these massive things, but like Vorinclex is the problem here.
Yeah. Why are there's no Eldrazi on there?
Yeah. So Trinisphere is primarily only seen in like turbo decks that are already anticipating to have stack pieces that are going to cause them to slow down a little bit. This stack piece in particular is always played wrong, and I feel like it should be allowed in like casual level play because people need to learn about that. People don't have a chance to learn about that until they're already in the CDH scene and things like that. A lot of these game changers, it doesn't matter for CDH, right? You play whatever card you want. So why would you restrict a card that is a great learning experience for a lot of the casual players before they move up to any higher power?
Do you think your decks, as they are placed properly within the bracket system?
No. In my heart, I believe my decks are 2s or 3s, but according to this, apparently I put mayonnaise on pancakes because I'm disgusted.
This exists. This is why it exists, because of him. 2s and 3s coming out there backhanding people, flipping tables over, kicking them in the shins. It's perfect.
I feel like I'm being judged right now. Now, excuse me. I'm gonna go find my safe space at a Krispy Kreme.
I was surprised, or maybe it's just like my sense of self. Like I thought I built these bigger, and then get on Moxfield, and they're like, "Oh, that's a 2, honey."
I absolutely understand that feeling.
So I feel like my pride is a little squished, but maybe it's a good opportunity for me to go look back in there and see maybe I could add game changers and stuff.
But then the final question: is there anything that you would change about the current bracket system?
Not yet. I don't think. I think we should let it ride for a little bit and see what kind of gripes arise. I like how it started so far.
We're still very early on with it. I know a lot of complaints I've seen have been things that were addressed in the article underneath the Game Changers list, and I'm like, if you read it, they tried to clarify as best as they could. They did a lot of like conversation under there that a lot of people didn't read, and so I'm hoping that as we continue this conversation, more people will get attuned.
Genuinely, I had the same thing. I was like, oh, I hate this. I don't like it. And I saw Gavin's video, and I was like, oh, all of my questions answered.
Yeah. No, honestly, for a V1, they killed it. I really don't. I'm very positive on it.
Yeah.
I like it. I put doubling season on there, but outside of that, I'm good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, bracket system. I just learned what it was.
Yeah, okay.
I did a Google search. All right, so Trey Young is going to where?
Yeah. Trey Young, he's in Atlanta now, but maybe he gets flipped.
Okay. Who just went to the Lakers? You said that was
Luka.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Brackets are horrible.
Fire Nico.
Yeah. Brackets are horrible.
I got Yale taking the whole thing in March Madness.
Rule 0, as you started out with, is the rule of the land, always has been and always will be. I have 4 in here, but it's not really like a 4-level deck. I just really like this card. Like, I want to put just like Underworld Breach in here. I have no combo with it. I just think it's cool. Red has a regrowth. Mm-hmm. And it generally gets like a little bit more balanced out. So have that conversation. It's just the bracket system's just to help us start that out.
It's working out.
We even got some fans in on the action, saying what they thought too.
What is the bracket system in your own words?
It's how to have Magic be fair for everybody and not take the guesswork out of it. Am I playing something powerful, or am I playing something less powerful and more simple and more friendly for maybe new Magic players out there?
So, what 3 cards, if any, because this is the Game Changer cards, what 3 cards, if any, do you think should be added to the Game Changers list?
I would say probably Deflecting Swat, because it holds the exact same as a Fierce Guardianship, because more than likely if you're deflecting swatting, you are simply just using it as you would a Fierce Guardianship to counter something.
Soul Ring, it's better than like all of the fast mana that's already on the Game Changer list, and it's like you drop that turn 1, it's like, okay, now I have triple the mana everyone else in the game does. It's insane.
Is there anything you want to take off?
Mystical Tether is on here?
Yeah. No, Mystical Tutor is what it's meant to be. They put the wrong one on there. So then, do you think that your decks currently are fitting properly within the system?
No. So specifically, I have 2 decks that don't. I have a Gatekeeper Spores deck, which ostensibly is a 3.
Yeah.
I disagree with that entirely. And then the other one that is considered a 4, and I'm like, all right, is my Una Mill discard deck. Only because again, I like playing with themes, and so opposition agents in my deck.
Yeah, that would do it.
I wanted to say, love the channel. Oh, thank you. It's really cool seeing you guys in person.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, I can't remember exactly how I came across y'all, but just a lot of the budget builds you guys put together, I've had the player. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
Also, as I see the last question there, one thing I would change. One thing I think would be really good is instead of having CDH be its own thing, and same with bracket 1 where it's exhibition and here's the style and theme I'm doing, take those and make it so they're basically attached to a deck. So you have like a bracket 3 CDH deck.
And we also were told that there was a Commander Bracket Zone, which we didn't know because we thought it just didn't exist.
Apparently it does exist. And we're just stupid. Oh, these are the actual cards that are on here. Instead of Force of Will, they put in Furious Bellows. Got Mystical Tether instead of Mystical Tutor. And I don't want to take this, but I can't take this. Can't. It's not proper.
Yeah, I didn't double check the list. Turns out there's a lot of non-game changer cards on this board.
I'm here with people I know and their friends. Here we go. Promo pack, promo pack. What's your channel?
Games, Gorgons, and Goats.
Games, Gorgons, and Goats?
Yeah.
Yeah. Games, Gorgons, and Goats. Subscribe.
Thank you.
What is the bracket system?
The way to quantify where your deck is standing and how fast it can win.
It's definitely a more standardized way of saying, instead of being like, it's a power 6 and it's really not, there's clear guidelines on what it's supposed to be.
Okay, yeah. A more concise guideline of what it's supposed to be. Yeah. So how helpful do you think the bracket system is right now in your experience?
Right now, I think it's a good starting point, but if you go off of like Moxfield or Architect or some of the other places you put your deck, a lot of decks are saying they're 1s because they don't reach criteria.
I think it is a start, but definitely with the 1s thing, like I have a squirrel deck that goes infinite that they're calling a 1, so I don't want to run the table.
Your chatter thing is a 1?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
Her Krenko
No, it's not.
Her Krenko is also a 1.
No, Krenko's a 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Krenko's a 2.
It's not a 1. It's not a 1.
Moxfield called it a 1, so...
Oh, it's crazy. Let me get these here. Up to 3 cards that you think that would be added to the Game Changers list?
I think for white, Avacyn should be on there because as soon as that comes down, everything of yours on your board is indestructible, and that's really hard to deal with if you're not in white to get exiled. That's really hard to deal with, and that changes the game instantly.
Things like the Blood Moon or Mass like land.
Oh, because it is big land denial.
Yeah, so I think things like that need to be on there.
And is there anything that you think should be taken off of this list?
Right now, I don't think there's anything that needs to be removed. I think they did a good job of kind of identifying what's really good in the format.
Yeah. All right, so do you think y'all's placement, I can already see this is probably no, in the brackets for your decks, do you think it's fair as it stands?
I'm going to say no, because I know I could run the table with some of those decks that they're calling a 1.
Yeah, I think no, because I have a Najeela and a Miram, and theirs are also 1s, and I just played a deck that he said, oh yeah, it's a 4, I swear it's a 4, and I ran the table.
Well, if there's anything you'd change about the whole bracket system, what would it be?
I know they didn't want to do like a whole extra list and like, oh, look at this list, go look at that list. Maybe just condense everything to kind of like what they did with the tutors they said no non-land tutors and do it that way.
I know Gavin talked about not wanting to have like 80, 100 cards on this list, but I think in order to really get a feel for some of these decks, you need those 80, 100 cards.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But yeah, thank you all for your time. I hope to never see you again.
It was an unfortunate pleasure.
Okay, that's great.
I ended up going back and bothering some of the people at the brackets table, and they seemed pretty receptive to everything. Then I posed with another cool person.
I appreciate it.
Your videos are so good.
Thank you.
I think because of you, I looked into, God, what's that red goblin?
Krenko? Yeah.
No, not
Zada.
Krenko. Zada.
Zada.
Your Zada Hedron Grinder video is what got me into Commander.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, Zada's one of my favorite commanders too. Oh,
what interested me the most is that it was such a competitive deck
but it was also only $18. It also was a solid platform to like make it stronger and start from there.
Yeah, and it's a great way to lose friends too.
It's really cool seeing you, man.
You too. Thank you.
Enjoy your comp.
You too.
I was genuinely surprised with how many people actually came up and recognized me. So sorry if I seemed a little like overjoyed. That's probably because I was. And then we met someone familiar at the escalator who we had to get an interview with.
In your words, what is the bracket system?
A way to control the Magic and Gathering art. Wake up, people. It's a way to control you. They're trying to control the way you play cards. They're trying to control the way you tap your mana. They're trying to control your kids. They want your brains. I promise you. The new system is only a way to hold down good Magic cards and good Magic people. Ban Soul Ring. Ban Soul Ring. Ban Soul Ring.
Ban it.
There's no reason to have Soul Ring. Ancient Tomb is enough. At least it's like you take 2 damage. Now the tier list is bogus for 3 reasons. In fact, is a game changer. I don't care what if you show up playing Finn the Fang Bearer.
Yeah.
I'm targeting you.
It's a different game.
I'm targeting you, right? If you show up playing Atraxa, I'm targeting you.
But did you think for a moment that Finn is green and green can't be touched?
Everything can be touched when you playing with blue. I've seen blue do things to people that normally you would go to jail for. And that's another thing. I think that if you have blue in your deck at all, you are a 4 and above. I don't care that you don't put no counters in there. You just a dumb blue player. That's not my fault. Then there's a whole consent thing. Consenting. Do you want to play a 4? Do you want to play a 3? You know how hard it is to find a game? It's the only way to keep Magic people separated and against each other.
Yeah, there you go. You heard it here first. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Appreciate you greatly. Oh, yeah, you get a promo pack.
Get a promo pack. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And then after that wild ride of an interview, I decided to go around and pose with some cool people.
With you?
Oh, please.
I always love finding the people that decide to cosplay. Y'all really go all out. It is extremely fun to see how creative you guys are.
Can I get a pose with you quick?
Yeah, sure.
Does your mouth move?
Yeah.
This time I even got something.
Oh, I love that. Look at this. Look at this. That's cool. Scan this QR code, people. I trust it.
Now, I didn't recognize them, and I didn't realize it'd be blurry, and for the life of me, I can't find that card. So if you know who they are, let me know in the comments. And if I missed anybody, I'm not trying to slight you. I just don't know everybody, you know? So if you were interviewed and I didn't credit you, just go ahead and leave your name in the comments. I'm sure people will be able to find you there. These next few people, though, I actually kept track of.
What is the bracket system?
The bracket system is a system designed to not eliminate Rule Zero, but make it a little bit faster. So you can say, like, my deck is a bracket 3 and I have 3 game changers, so you can kind of get the power level in a very quick and easy sentence.
What she said, and also it is just a way for players to communicate quickly and effectively with game changers. It helps you eliminate, I'm playing a jank deck, but I have Rhystic Study and Cyclonic Rift in it.
Yeah. What is the purpose of the bracket system?
Honestly, I think the problem is I think a lot of people are thinking it's an end goal solution.
Yeah.
But it was never intended to be that. Like, the idea is to get the conversations, because like with Rule Zero, the problem is it's an awkward starting point for people that don't know where to start, right? Because like, well, should I start telling them about my deck, or should I talk about like the play experience I want, or whatever the case is? Whereas here, everybody at least has an open starting point of like, hey, my deck's a 1 or a 3 or whatever it is, and that automatically makes it a little easier.
Hi, the bracket system was made because we still have not been able to get Magic players to talk to each other. So we need to come up with more elaborate ways to get people to not talk to each other, but still understand each other at the same point. I'm assuming mind reading is going to be the next logical step, but
we're working on the technology, I assume.
we're working. Oh, it's almost there.
It's almost.
Hasbro can do it. It'll be the next toy line. It'll be Hasbro mind reading.
If anybody, it could be Monopoly Man himself.
Oh, that would be sweet.
The purpose of the bracket system gives toxic players an excuse to justify their bad behavior and tell you it's Wizards of the Coast's fault.
The bracket system is supposed to help people sit down and play a game with random people.
What is the Commander bracket system?
Confusing.
Confusing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that bad. It's unfortunate because it's who you're playing with. It always is. The brackets don't matter. They didn't ever matter. It's just knowing what you're playing, knowing how you're playing it, and knowing who you're playing with.
But do you think the bracket system as it is now is helpful or not?
I think it's
that's been helpful because of integrations with like Moxfield and stuff, because it's very easy to look at your deck and be like, oh, it is a bracket 2, and you can also say like, oh, I'm playing like a poison deck and there's no game changer there, but it's very spicy, so it's a bracket 4. So, and people I've seen at least are being very honest with it. I think it's been working very well this weekend.
Yeah. What about your experience? Yeah, it's just been fantastic. I have no problems with it. I think it's only going to get better.
I really do. There's a lot of confusion. I run CEDH tournaments. I wish 4 and 5 was a little better defined at a glance. There's always going to be that person who like pulls out something that really doesn't
pulls out their
there.
one stack and makes the entire pot miserable.
No, I don't think it's working. It's too easy to abuse. I think that if we had a series of questions that established the type of game we wanted and Rule Zero was a conversation, it'd be much more effective than putting this information into an algorithm and having that tell me what is or is not good enough.
I feel like most people think of the bracket system in how to break it style, and if you do it like that, which is how most people do it, it is not helpful at all.
For most people, it will not change what you're doing. Yeah. And it's not intended to. It's just everything we're talking about right now is, can we get people the play experience they're hoping for with the deck they built? Right?
Yeah, it's fair.
Because it's tough when you go to your LGS and somebody has a high-end deck and you've got a low-end deck and y'all can't figure out how to meet in the middle, or somebody isn't honest about what they put in their deck or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
you know, the bad actors.
Yeah, you know, big fish, small pond.
Here's a pretty, I guess, not great list of all the game changers. The MTG print didn't exactly get them all correct, and I didn't check. So, if there's any 3 cards that you'd want to add to the game changers list, what would it be?
Oh, God. A lot.
Humility is definitely one of them.
Oh, humility, yeah.
We were just talking about this a little recently.
So if we had to collectively, humility for sure.
Yeah.
I would probably also add like Phyrexian Tower, and if Soul Ring's off limits, we would say Necropotence.
I'm trying to think, because we made a whole video on this. It's going to come out pretty soon.
Oh,
but I think like the Goblin game, Thieves Auction things kind of invalidate the game to begin with.
Some of those like chaos-y.
So chaos cards,
almost like work
because they very physically change the game.
Yeah.
I think this game changers list is really weird because it's making them grade every card and it makes people want to break it more. A Skull Clamp, like people can break that with a Locust God.
Yeah.
Every card can be broken. So like putting it into a list like this is very difficult. Putting things in boxes is a bad thing.
Soul Ring.
Soul Ring.
I'm putting Soul Ring on the game changers.
We got another Soul Ring.
Yeah, because Soul Ring creates such a dramatic change in power level off of just one card that it's in my opening hand, it's not in yours. That's a game changer.
I don't even know if it's so much stuff to add that's not there, but there's a conversation of, are there things we could unban that are like on the fringes that can end up on the game changers list, right? Okay. That's kind of the bigger thing right now, which, by the way, anybody who thinks we already know what we're going to unban, we don't. I just want to put that in front of people. Like, we're still discussing if things are going to get unbanned, and if so, what do those even need to be at this point?
I'm going to put my hat in the ring because it's important to say it. Please don't unban Iona.
To me, anything that stops people from playing Magic is generally not a card you want, especially in a casual environment. But I also think there's conversation for things like Blood Moon, for example, right? Okay. Like, it's not really land denial, but it kind of still stops people from playing Magic, so we're assuming it's one of those, like, land denial things. You know, right? Yeah. Even though some people are like, oh, but it's not killing your land. I was like, kind of though.
Can we just go straight to bans instead of a game changer?
Oh, okay.
Hi, Brittany. Ban Perplexing Chimera. Get it out of my life. Get it out of my system.
We do not need another 200-minute CEDH finals
Yeah,
pod.
my finals was 4 hours for Saltfest.
Oh, no.
And then there were other tournaments that had 3-hour finals. It's just, no.
More green.
More green? But green's the goodest boy of Magic.
Defense of the Heart on there?
No.
Put
Survival of the Fittest and Boring Clicks.
Put Defense of the Heart on there.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could even say Doubling Season has a
I've been hearing that one around too.
On there. Teferi's Protection, is there more on there?
I think Teferi's Protection.
Teferi's got to be.
I'm pretty sure it is. No, Teferi's Protection is not a game changer.
Teferi's Protection probably should be on there.
Yeah, I should say it's probably. Yeah. If you could take any of them off, what would you take off?
Honestly, I think Vampiric Tutor can come off.
Yeah.
Going to the top of the library is not, like, that used to be one of the most powerful things we could do in Magic, and now that's just a Tuesday.
I feel like Glacier Chasm, you're doing enough work. Well, and Vorniclex Voice of Hunger, that was the other one. It costs too much to be a game changer. If I have the mana to play him and get value off the doubler, I could have just won without playing him.
No, I don't think I take anything off. Like we're pretty solid on the list.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good list. I'll be real.
Yeah.
I think Adnos is such a CEDH card that, like, if your deck's not built around it, it's not that good.
Trinisphere, because I think the spikier your deck is, the more powerful Trinisphere is, but the worse your deck is, the less you just like automatically lose to it.
Grand Abolisher, I mean, it's sad. It sucks. It's not as bad as Kinnan. Grand Abolisher and Kinnan should not be on the same list. That's just my opinion.
It's what, 2 mana more, 1 mana more, or whatever?
Learn how to use some removal. I understand. Also, I think they're going to more a removal-heavy format. If they unban Coalition Victory, they want people to sit there with removal in their hand until they can protect it as well. Because you need to have removal when somebody goes for the win, and if you don't, that's the gameplay they want.
Yeah.
They want
so they're trying to mold the meta into the way they feel like it should be.
Yes, it should be. Hell, hold your removal. If you don't have removal, don't do anything.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, Mana Vault.
Yeah.
Mana Vault, in the grand scheme of getting stuff or like what you're paying, what you're doing.
It's just leading to a combo. It's not really doing much in a normal game.
And if you're already, Mana Vault.
So do you think that your decks you got are fairly bracketed as they are, or no?
My decks are definitely not, but I have a CDH deck that has maybe 1 game changer in it. Because we're green has no game changers.
Yeah, if you ran a Gruul deck, essentially you could have the most competitive Gruul deck and still not be a 5.
And then we're 100% fine, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
and so do you think the decks that you have are fairly bracketed in the current system?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, but I have a lot of decks that are more on the casual level anyway. I don't play a lot of competitive stuff. So for me, I think I have 2 maybe that even have some of the cards on the list. So
I think it's a decent step in the right direction. I don't think it changes people from saying my deck's a 7 to changing my deck's a 3.
Yeah. Yes, the precons that I own are still precons, and those are 2s.
I play the Get Rog monster. So thanks. That's the reaction I want. I want to sit down. I feel like it's like Ursula must feel in The Little Mermaid. I think it's fair where it's at with how the list is now.
I think the decks you have are fairly bracketed right now.
I do my best to.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'm being cognizant of right now is I have some bracket 2 decks that have no game changers that are really strong.
I'm trying to judge mine up right now and then kick it down if need be. So if I have to punch up, that's fine. But if I have to like punch down, I don't like to.
Yeah, it's always feel bad when you accidentally
so I'd rather just punch up and get creamed.
Well, okay, for me, if we're just looking at like the Moxfield way of auto-assigning a number, no, not at all, because there's no way to track like your combos and how you're playing the deck yet. When it comes to any kind of bracket system, it's you knowing your deck and not the whatever we think it falls under just because I don't have a game changer in the deck. Like genuinely, my decks are all stronger than their assigned power. For sure. Easy.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important that they have a system where they keep it where like you can up it, or do you think that should just be a part of the conversation?
It needs to be part of the conversation. I think over time, we'll be able to track things a little bit better as... Okay. Let's be real, as Moxfield has more time to work on that. We just need time. That's it.
No, absolutely not. I have a Tesher deck that was intentionally built to showcase the way the bracket system does not work well. It has 0 infinite combos requiring less than 3 cards. It has 0 tutors. It has 0 game changers, and it still consistently wins by turn 4 or 5.
Okay, yeah.
I took 2 cards out to turn it from my power level 8 to a bracket 1.
If you change anything as it is right now, what would it be?
So are you saying within just the bracket system?
Yes.
Or okay. When you look at the graphic that they put out, the 1 through 5 graphic, I feel like it just needs to be a little more delineation between the brackets. Because 1 and 2 doesn't have that much of a jump, 2 and 3 is not that big of a jump, but then 3 to 4 is kind of weird, and then 4 and 5 are almost nondescript from each other at a glance.
Add a new bracket.
Okay, above or below, or in the middle?
So we got a 0 bracket. Precons are level 1. 1s are now level 2. Okay. And then we got 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, 3, 4, 5 break out.
0 is just a pile of cards. Like I opened 10 booster packs, put them together. That's a 0.
I shook the draft shaft in a big brown box.
Exactly.
That's what I got. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just it needs to be a conversation, not an input and output thing.
Okay, yeah. Less technical
exactly.
With like
because it's about
quantifiable
finding the
things.
spirit of the game you want to play, not about restricting what other people are able to play.
Honestly, the brackets are fine. I don't think the brackets need to be changed. I think we should add more game changer cards, and I just think people need to learn how to talk to each other a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's not always about, oh, here's my sneaky thing I'm doing in my game. No, tell people like, this is my 3 card, this is my win con, this is what I'm trying to do. As soon as you know what you're trying to do, it's easy to determine where your deck goes.
Are you trying to tell antisocial people to talk?
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
I don't have anything there because it's going to change over time. So any of the problems will just get hammered out.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular you're thinking of?
I really can't think of anything right now.
It's just too new.
I don't know, beating a dead horse, but if you could change anything, what would it be?
Well, we're kind of working on that now. We just put out a list, or the updated graph chart, whatever we're calling it.
This one.
Yeah, exactly. That one that you're holding on the back side of that. There you go.
Chart,
People
though.
still needed clarity on like why this is thing. Why is there optimized and CDH and they're not the same thing?
Genuinely, I've interviewed a lot of people, and one of the biggest things that they're saying is that the clarity is what they would prefer to change. And like when they're thinking about the own words, it's like it's just unclear, kind of. Which I think today we're going to get a lot of interviews here, or a lot of people downstairs getting good information as to how to clarify it and how to bring it up.
But again, you have to be very careful on how much you clarify, because the goal isn't to tell people how to play.
Okay.
And again, the more that's there, the more the bad actors are going to min-max.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a fine line that you have to kind of follow on making sure people understand the intent, but you're not directing them on what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate your time. Thank you for your answers.
Yeah, anytime.
It was great talking with you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you
for what you do.
And at this point, we were going over some bucket list interviews that we kind of set up throughout the time here. Like one of them being Gavin Verhey, which should be near the commander brackets, right?
What if he's not in a bright red suit because he's not doing game nights live? What if he just looks normal?
He always looks normal past me. Don't say things like that. Either way, we decided to take a little bit more of a break and play some games, because I usually try and get my playmat signed by everybody I play games with. Brian and I got some food, but there was a presence or something. Anyway, we decided to finish out the night by playing a few games with a bunch of random people, you know, like Magic was meant to be played. Which is really easy to do with these people just pointing out how many per table. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Maldhound, but I did get a chance to right a wrong from my past.
I'd like to get on the record. I apologized last year for seeing that you're left-handed and calling you genetic freak.
I'm just an anomaly, bro. What do you mean?
Just an anomaly.
I'm built different. Most of it's bad, but some of it's...
Thank you, man.
Finally, a burden lifted. We ended up playing a few more games and just kind of went back to the hotel for a bright and early new day.
Remember that guy that was interviewing with a super wrinkly shirt? No, you don't. I was ironing shirt while you were at home practicing the craft of Magic the Gathering. I was outside honing my blade. I messed it up in the beginning. I shouldn't have started that way.
Steven and I got ready for a bright and early day to go and find everybody who said we could interview them if we found them. Like Rachel, Gavin, Maldhound. We never found Joey, I'll be real. We tried a lot.
It's really hot.
Time to say goodbye to a lot of these, like The View, and this random corner, and the last walkout with all of our stuff, and a weirdo eating cookies. Steven thought we'd leave him behind for some reason, maybe because we'd totally leave him behind, but he's just a weirdo. Look at him. We got to say goodbye to The View on the skywalk to the convention center? And then I had to say goodbye to this joke that I said every time we went down an escalator.
Trying to de-escalate the situation.
And the hardest one, the garbage can and recycling bin that we always calibrated the gimbal at. Some things are just never easy. This is one of them. I took the time to fix the game changers list and did the morning routine.
Question for you.
Hello.
How's your day going?
Fine.
Good.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
You gonna walk away with that?
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
And they said thank you to me by giving me some booster packs. Very thoughtful, actually. We also had to say goodbye to the view of entering the convention hall, which is honestly pretty cool.
Enjoy your content.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you got me, like, you and my roommate got me into Magic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you, man.
Built Judith. My friends hated it.
Good, that's exactly how you
played
do.
one game, hit 220, and they said no.
No, I'm good. We're chilling from now. Where do you want it?
Wherever you... Or text, I don't care.
Just to put it into context with how unexpected meeting all of you was, I met at most like 4 people who recognized me from all the other cons that I've been to. Having each of you come up to me was crazy cool to me. And just to let anybody know, if you ever see me at a con in the future, you are 100% okay to stop me and say hello. I love the attention, and I never will not.
I'm making important political statements here today.
Now, I used to get weekly promo packs from my game store for just attending Magic Nights, and I saved up a lot of those, but I went through almost all of those by handing them out for interviews. So we decided to go to Pastimes here and get some Battle Bond packs because Commander players. Then we met some really talented fans. And then I decided to go and freak out somebody that I respect a lot.
Hi, can I get you to sign this? I do have a plan. I plan on getting a tattoo of your signature.
Plan on doing what?
Tattoo artist over there?
Oh.
I plan on getting a tattoo of your signature. Because my whole channel identity is based around your Joven. It looks phenomenal. Look at that.
Yeah, I decided to cave in on it, and I'm gonna get a tattoo, baby.
Even been giving me the patented I don't think it's a good idea face, because he doesn't think it's a good idea, and that's his face.
Yeah, it wasn't just a joke. I was planning on it since I noticed that they had them. And Raven here decided to actually make some time for me, which is kind of crazy, because pretty much everybody else was booked up.
We got somebody for it. Ooh. Stevens, I don't like this face. It's still on his face. Maybe that's just his face. I don't know.
We had to wait a couple hours for the tattoos, so I guess I took some time, went back around, and talked to some people who told us to catch them later.
Hi. Can I ask you a few questions about the bracket system?
Easily.
Easily.
I don't know why I'm doing the eyebrow thing. I like try to appear normal for like 10 minutes and then I start wiggling. So yeah.
So in your own words, what is the bracket system?
The bracket system is a tool meant to help people that do not have an established social rapport figure out what type of commander game they want to play.
That was very clinical. I like that. That's very good.
Hire me!
Hopefully.
The bracket system is a way to communicate with your friends and your pod mates what you're trying to do in a commander game. Whether it's you want to be pretty social, you want to get a little sweaty, go a little hard, or you want to play full on CDH.
The bracket system is just Wizards' new way of unifying the way we talk about the power levels of our commander decks.
The bracket system is a new way to essentially help players understand what power level their decks are at and set themselves up for the best, most balanced game possible in the game of Commander. Thank you for waiting. Ooh.
So
Battle Bond.
I know it was. I thought it was a good idea for Commander, especially.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bracket system is astrology for straight Magic players.
What is the purpose of the bracket system?
We want to help people find games against folks that they don't know particularly well to make sure that those games are as fun as they can be. It's an ingredient in the discussion rather than being the entire discussion, but it's nice to have an extra little way to sort of demonstrate what your deck intention is, right?
You know, it breaks the whole 1 and 10 thing, because everybody had a 7, right? But my decks are now between a 3 and a 4, or a power 4, so it's kind of like saying a 6 or 7, you know? I do like how they do it. It adds some more structure where there's really not structure before. Wizards taking over, they're doing some good things.
Have you found it helpful so far today, or not really?
Can I swear?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this shit is crazy, bro. It will never get you to the end point of totally balancing the game, but in terms of like just throwing out one sentence about the type of game you want to play, way better than any other method I've ever heard of. Like, people are doing it ironically because they want to be too cool for it, but as soon as someone's like, soft 3, everybody knows the assignment, which is an incredible amount of consistency to have from game to game.
I also low-key think that, like, if you're the type of person who's gonna write a dissertation about everything that's bad about the bracket system, brother, you don't need it. The bracket system is for babies who've never met anybody at their LGS and need somebody to sit down with.
I think it's absolutely been helpful this weekend, just sitting down, and everybody seems to know them already. They're kind of abstract as they are right now, and it really seems to be more about intent. Whenever we've had the discussion before the game, I've ended up in their correct level pods, playing their correct decks.
So far, with some of the games that I've been playing, when someone has declared, like, I'm pretty sure this deck would be a 4, I'm like, okay, I know exactly where I'm aiming. With my limited experience thus far, which again, not a lot of games that I've actually been able to play, I feel like that helps me in figuring stuff out.
Yeah. Is it helpful as it is? Yes, I think it gives players another layer of language to communicate with each other. I think it's a tool, though. It's not a prescriptive thing. I think there's a lot of nuance that is going to take people to learn, but I think for now it's a good tool, and I do think it is helpful.
I think in general, any system to help people better understand how to describe their decks is going to be helpful, especially when it's been thought through by people like Gavin and all the other people on the committee. But it's one of those things where we'll see how great it is in, let's say, a year, a half year. But MagicCon's a great place to test it out.
I think it's helpful, and I think people are actually surprisingly adopting it more than I thought they were going to. I had some LobbyCon yesterday, had a couple drinks there, and I was like, oh, how do I talk about this? Everybody's like, oh, what are you, 1 through 5? And I was like, oh, people are actually using this.
So we got the whole Game Changers list. Hi. Front and back, and if it's crossed off, it's not because I didn't double check. I'm blaming the website. Anyway, so if you would add any 3 cards to this list, what would they be?
Add 3 cards to the list. Let's see. I think Earthcraft is a little bit getting away with murder here, potentially, though I understand if we're talking about combos, that's probably where it's used. Personally, I think maybe a Sacrifice Outlet or 2. When I play Phyrexian Altar, which I love to do, you can't trust me with that. So I wonder if that type of thing might be, as the kind of thing I feel like I'm alerting the battlefield to, like, hey, this deck's up to no good. I would look forward to the Game Changer expansion in general, even if they don't agree with all of my picks. I think that there probably could stand to be a handful more things on there.
I think the big common one that people are talking about is probably Worldly Tutor. It's tough. I think on the artifact side, you could probably add Chrome Mox to it, but it is hard to say whether or not those are actually game changers. They do have Mox Diamond, which is kind of around the same world. Does White have a game changer? I guess maybe Armageddon?
Popular one I've been seeing with White is Teferi's Protection.
Yeah, Teferi's Protection for sure. I think it has a way of making games quite interesting. Yeah. So I'd say either Teferi's Protection then or like Armageddon.
Yes, I would put the Wheel of Misfortune on here just because I hate playing it. Speaking of a dissertation, there are too many words on that card, man. Pro tip at Tappy Toe Causes Table, that can just be a Wheel of Fortune. I will sign it for you. I will just turn yours into one because I think that card's dumb and Wheel of Fortune should just be $5.
Okay, I know one right off the bat. Elish Norn Grand Cenobite. Shieldred, the Apocalypse, is she on there?
No.
That's another one I would add.
The only freighter is Vorinclex.
Yeah, and
Jin-Gitaxias.
And I think that one honestly costs so much that it could maybe come off the list. What I think's interesting is red and green are not that well represented on the Game Changer list, and it's kind of making it disproportionate.
I don't know how Great Henge is not a game changer.
Yes.
I am a green player. I don't know how green is not more represented. I think green and red got off very easily.
Have you considered that green is the goodest boy?
Green is the goodest boy. Absolutely. Great Henge should absolutely be on there.
At worst, it pays for itself the moment it enters and you gain 2 life out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but then even then, paying 4 or 5 mana for a Great Henge is still really, really good.
Really good, because it's the card advantage, it's the counters.
It does everything.
Wizards, please.
Wizards, please. I would like to see more commanders get unbanned, I think, and put on the Game Changers. I think that would be a very interesting case study. Do players opt out of playing with these recently unbanned cards because now they're Game Changers? Gives people a little more freedom. I'm very curious to see what that looks like.
Yes, Forest, Harmonized, Sylvan Library.
Yeah, green's been getting
You don't deserve cards. Top deck, I don't know, top deck another Gothic.
Well, if any 3 cards would you want to take off this list? Other than the ones that I crossed off because those aren't actually game changers?
Furious Bellow?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Free my guy.
Free my guy.
No, I think everything on here, like there's somewhere it's like the card itself is not crazy powerful. Like Grim Monolith, that is a signpost of like anybody who's ever put Grim Monolith in their deck seriously knows what the they were up to, and it was no good. It was not anything good.
The Tabernacle, I think nobody runs it because it's so expensive. So like, I feel like
are you saying Commander players can't afford a $3,000 card?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'd be funny for them to take out just for like the lulz, right? I think actually the tutor. So Vampiric Tutor, I know how powerful it is, but like they don't have every tutor on here, right?
No, not everyone.
Yeah, so it's like if you're gonna have one tutor, either have all the, that's what I would add. If you're gonna have one tutor, have all the tutors on there, or have no tutors on there.
The one that's the biggest puzzle to me in my head is probably Jessica's Will, but I'm not like bothered by it.
Yeah.
I've got a deck where I'm just like, this is fun. And I think it's also the one that has shown up in the most pre-cons as well, which kind of signals to me of like, compared to the rest where it's probably falling.
Yeah, that's actually really fair.
Thanks.
Probably Jin-Gitaxias, maybe Grand Arbiter.
Yeah.
The Grand Arbiter is oppressive to play, but I feel like it's fair. Definitely not Trouble in Pairs. That card is amazing.
It's a powerful card. Trouble in Pairs is punishing white for keeping up with what every other color does. Trouble in Pairs being a game changer, while Great Henge is not a game changer. You're punishing white and rewarding green a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a couple. Bolsa Citadel, it's good, but I don't know if it fits. Glacial Chasm, I thought was very curious, but also nobody plays Glacial Chasm with good intentions.
No.
It's good, but you have to do a lot of work to make Glacial Chasm, in my mind, on par with Expropriate, Ristic Study, like all those other big power
It does
cards.
change the game, but it's not like the worst.
Not really. I would maybe take Mox Diamond off because it's just a Mox Diamond. Oh, Chrome Mox is on the Game Changers list. Okay, I was wrong about that.
You're fine.
I don't know about Zero Mana Rocks. I don't think they're that powerful compared to just Soul Ring, honestly.
Like,
If they're crossed out, it's because I totally didn't double check it.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
you are my people. I would say, take Jessica's Will out of there because
Yeah.
I'm fine with this one because it makes the game end. I think the stuff that should be on here is stuff like, Vorinclex, Jinga Taxis, Grand Arbiter, because I don't want to sit there for another 30 minutes while you do whatever you're doing over there that isn't a win condition, all right?
Yeah.
My favorite part of an EDH game is when it ends and we can shuffle up and play the next one.
Do you think that the decks you have are properly placed in the bracket system?
I have no idea, brother. I don't even know how many lands are in my deck. I don't know if there's 99 cards in there. Actually, I just assume.
I would say my thing is I run Ancient Tomb in every single deck that I can. None of my decks have 0 game changers in them for the most part, and a lot of my red decks are not that powerful, and the best cards in them are Jessica's Will and Underworld Breach. But without those cards, they would not stand a chance against a lot of other decks too. So
You just got to play the fun, but sometimes you got to change the game out while you're doing it.
Yeah.
I think I could make some adjustments because I think that 3 is a lot more powerful than I thought it was coming into this weekend.
So I did some updating of decks because I build with intent, so I wanted to put them in the bracket that I intended them to be on. So I had a couple of decks I took a few game changers out, like maybe I had 1 or 2 game changers, they weren't that important, for some more conditional things that fit the theme of the deck. But then there were a couple of decks I knew were more powerful that I was maybe playing 1 or 0 game changers in.
Yeah.
And so for me, that gave me a little bit of freedom in my brain I can put game changers in here. I can make this deck a little more powerful because it's going to punch up to the class that I want it to be anyways. Game changers was a really, really cool deck building reminder. Kind of, okay, you have permission to do this. You're not reaching too far with the deck.
That's a good way to put it. It is a reminder.
I think so. I even built some decks specifically to try to feel out like 1s and 2s. I built a deck where I was like, this should be what I think a 1 should play like, and this should be what I think a 2 should play like, and both have panned out pretty well so far.
I do. Most of them I have at least 1 or 2 game changers in, so like, because I rip packs, I usually do collector boosters, I get those cards decently frequently, these hot hands, so my decks jump in power when they don't necessarily need to, because I have 1 or 2 of them in there, but it's fair. I think it's fine to have them in there.
Do you think the decks you have now are placed well within the existing bracket system?
I've got a whole video about that on the EDH Rec YouTube channel if you want to see my full thoughts.
Go look at that, don't you? You gotta.
Shameless plug.
Shameless interview. And so if you change anything about the current bracket system, what would it be?
Potentially, I've been wondering whether the threshold of game changer cards being up to 3, if that was instead only up to 2 of them, I'd be curious what that would do.
Like, to tell people to take a breather. Like, maybe keep that one in drafts. Set it in drafts, think about it, and again,
you don't need to say everything that comes to mind. Sometimes you just gotta wait.
I would argue that more people could say less, actually. Yeah. Myself included.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I don't think I have really that many changes I would make right now. I would just maybe think about doing something about certain commanders as game changers.
Yeah.
We have some on there right now, but there are certain commanders that are so powerful just by themselves that they change the way a game's played out.
I was expecting a 1 to 10 scale. I think that would be more interesting. It gives you a bit more flavor with it. They do it to 10, then maybe some of these cards, like, they'll have different powers. Like, you can have 2 or 3 in a level 4 versus a level 7, which is like, your 8 and 9's going to be CEDH, or 10's going to be CEDH, right? It gives it more breadth.
Maybe give CDH their own ban list. Let CDH have Jeweled Lotus, let them have Mana Crypt, let them have Dockside.
If I could change anything about the bracket system, I think it's too early to give a firm, I would change this. I don't know how many people are building sub pre-con level decks. That's one fault that I had with the old 1 to 10 system.
Nobody's a 1, right?
Nobody ever built a 1 anyways, and so putting precons at the 5 level, which meant like 50% of the decks out there in theory were sub precon, that just wasn't the case. So this is an improvement for sure because they're at least putting precons at 1 data point and then the rest is there. I still think that might be a little bit of over representation, but also this is our first weekend really of getting to play with it. We're at MagicCon Chicago.
Yeah.
The bracket system's been out for like 2 weeks. So I am really curious to see how these first rounds of experience and play testing that everybody gets, then we might be able to have a better sense of what needs to change and what needs to be tweaked around.
Wizards of the Coast can only parent us so hard, but I think a very useful facet of balancing your commander pod that people don't really think about is mouthfeel. Thinking about, like, I love theft. I think theft is one of the greatest mechanics in the game because it auto-balances to what everyone else is doing, and some people are like, don't touch my damn cards or I am taking your hands with me.
That makes so much sense, though.
But again, it's like you can't cover every situation, but they're like, hey, make sure to talk about this with your table in a very reasonable manner, because eventually it's like, also, don't poop in front of them. Like, there's only...
I mean, is it banned in tournament play?
So it's less of what should change about the bracket system and more of what should change about perception of the bracket system. A lot of the more aggressive critiques of it so far critique it from a point of, oh, this can't handhold us through the entire process, which was there, like, stated, hey, this can't handhold the entire process for you.
Yeah, by the way, you're very hard to track down. I have seen you like 12 times in this con, and I've gotten your contemporaries for interviews, and they're like, yeah, we have to wrangle him in to get him to go do things. He's always in a game.
I'm not always in the game. I have managed to play some more games this con than in most, but we also just had our panel. We've been running around a little bit here and there. Just trying to be honest.
But no, it's an absolute pleasure having you. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. See you around.
So after all those electric interviews, it was time for me to go in and actually get my tattoo done. Believe it or not, she's used to stuff like this, and she told me I could probably try and go back and get the signature directly on my arm, so I did, and he was apprehensive, but absolutely willing to do it. And her experience shone through a lot. It's probably the best tattoo I've ever gotten. Then we decided to take a stroll back and show the artist what he created. Then I got an opportunity to talk with a lot more people. Now, I'll be real, there was a lot of you. This video is already over an hour, 10 minutes long. I decided that I'm just gonna kind of cut it out. Sorry, it's nothing against any of you. I do like all your interviews. It's just, it's been so long. But I finally found the last person I wanted to talk with, Gavin Verhey. Now, we kind of caught him in the middle of an impromptu line, so he couldn't stay for long, so I just kind of asked him the first few things that I thought of.
I've been asking a lot of people all of these questions around the con, and I feel like they're kind of lost on you since you control the game to a degree. A lot of the popular sentiment is that the bracket system is a very massive success. People are very happy with the bracket system, and a lot of things they want to change has to do with either the cards or the system itself being more clear. Do you guys have any plans yet to either change the system or add more cards as it is?
We always knew we were going to be making changes, right? It's in beta for a reason. Part of what we wanted to do was see how it was received here in Chicago. That's part of the whole thing. So we're taking all the feedback from this weekend, and then we're going to go talk. So we haven't really started discussing the exact changes we're going to make. We're gathering feedback at the moment. But I think very likely changes are probably some more game changers. We kept the list really small to start because we wanted to make sure it was very approachable, very, understandable. Make a list that's 200 cards is very hard to hit. But players have been like, oh, we can take a little bit more. So I think I'm not going to aim for tons and tons of cards, but a little more seems very reasonable. There's a bit of clarity around exactly what goes where I think we could work on. But overall, I'm really happy with it. The reception's been really positive. And I think if you're at the point where it's fine-tuning the details, that's great. That's where I want a beta to be, right? Yeah. Let's fine-tune those details. So I'm excited about it.
And it's very exciting, too, because everybody seems to be pretty positive about it. And that's kind of a change, because most Magic players don't like change.
I was down in the command zone earlier, and just tons of people were using it, like at every table. And the cool thing is, like, even if you aren't using the system fully, it starts the conversation, which is all I'm trying to get you to do, right? If you sit down and you're like, hey, I have bracket 2 and bracket 3, and someone's like, well, I don't know what that is, or I'm not playing that, but let me tell you what's in my deck, boom, we're good, right? We've got you talking about your deck.
And so there's been some talk about maybe unbanning a few cards to throw them on the game changers list. Is that still maybe a plan within the...
Yeah, so at the end of April, when we come back with any changes, any unbans that we're excited about will happen at that time. So what they're going to be, don't know yet, but that's when they'll happen. So, and no additional bans.
No additional bans. Okay, well, that's good to know.
It's all the stuff I'm saying right now is in my article. So if you go read the article that I wrote or the video that I made, that's all in there. I know a lot of people didn't read it because they, watched it or got it from someone else, but the article has a huge FAQ about this kind of stuff. So,
and also check out his video as well. It answers a lot of the questions a lot of people would have issues with. It's very good, Gavin Verhey, or Good Morning Magic.
Yeah.
And also, one of the main things that I'm curious about, a lot of the cards on that Game Changers list is very deck specific. Some of them won't do much unless you're running around it. Is that something we're going to look at to see about changing that around, or is that a very intentional part of the design?
Yeah, I mean, some cards could come off, some cards might come on, but we're going to have to talk about, all of them, how we want to hit them up, I think. So,
okay. Thank you very much for your time, Gavin. It's a pleasure talking with you.
And here's your pack back. I don't need a pack. You will open the pack.
Fine. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Hey, Gavin, just letting you know, you missed that tattoo fresh and off the oven by like 5 centimeters. So, awesome. We went back downstairs and met up with Brian right after he turned in all of his tickets that he'd earned throughout the con, and then we just decided to head home, going out of Chicago during its sunset towards the end of the day. I don't know, not much else to do except leave, I guess. One last goodbye to our favorite garbage cans. It's never easy. I had so much fun in Chicago, and it's largely due to everyone that I got to talk with. Not just the creators, but obviously the fans and the people we played games with. It was such a fun experience from head to toe, and it was all because each and every one of you were so amazing to be with. And if any of you have an issue with the way that things were shot, don't you dare, because Steven was holding a gimbal that is extremely heavy for hours a day. It is a lot more difficult than you think it is. And then I had to drop off the pins.
Got the stuff.
Also, signature from Aaron Hansen.
Hell yeah.
I'd like to thank each of the creators that allowed me to interview them over this process. It was honestly a really fun time. And I'd also like to thank the fans. So, I'm not just saying this as like a thank you to the people who came up and said hi to me. Honestly, I really love the fact that you did. My ego can take it. Trust me. Always interrupt me. Even if we're in the urinals next to each other, I do not care. But for as much as it is that I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. It has been very difficult to manage all of the stuff that I have to do throughout my life. I have a full-time job. I'm going back to school, taking multiple classes at a time, trying to get a degree, and I'm trying to manage YouTube. I started up YouTube as a way to kind of get myself together after a difficult time in my life, just to be like, you know what, you don't start without starting. So I did, and very quickly it turned from the videos that I was trying to do to like these comedy deck list skits and bits. And then right around the time that I posted the Judith video, I started popping off, and that also happened to be when I was in MagicCon Chicago. I was freaking out over getting a few hundred subscribers throughout a couple days, which I don't really get anymore either, but now I have a few thousand subscribers. I cannot thank you enough for the amount of support that I've received from all of you. It has been very difficult, and I keep making it harder on myself because the more I learn about editing and other things, the more I try and do to make my job harder, essentially, to just go in, edit more, make more jokes, try different things. And then I'm learning different types of like editing skills or like storytelling skills or whatever. And it's difficult on top of everything else that I have to do. So slowly it started to feel like a lot of what I was doing, I wasn't really doing well enough to make everybody happy. I have since been able to look through all the footage that I got, and it's been made very apparent that all of you are extremely supportive. It honestly baffled me how many of you found me at MagicCon and wanted my autograph. I don't think you understand that, like, that's not normal for me at all. So each of you coming up to me, it actually gave validation to what I've been trying to do. It made all the nights of me staying up until 4 a.m, trying to edit something to try and get it on a schedule that I know I can't keep, but I put it out there anyway. It made it worth it. And so I just want to thank you, because even if you don't support me financially, even if you're not Picard 001, the one person who decides $50 a month is a normal amount to pay, which is not, but thank you anyway. You're the only reason I can cash out my YouTube stuff. So even if you're not any of my higher power members, which at this point I know by heart, because you got Azovor, you got Hayao, you got Devin Spooner,
A-Train, Filthy Casual, Angela Ryder, Jennifer Griffith. Each of you insanely important to my channel. All of the budget supporters. All of you amazingly important. Each of the people that are on my Discord. I know all of you by name, and I would call you out if it wasn't probably something that I know some of you wouldn't want. Every single time that we go up on our Wednesday night Discords and we go and play the games, it reminds me that people genuinely like this community that I've been trying to build. But I can't do it without all of you. And it's become very apparent that it's not just people who are here on a whim, that it's people who genuinely like what I do. And that's not something I was prepared to come to terms with over in MagicCon Chicago. Thanks for that. And so ultimately, thank you, because this stuff has genuinely been my dream for a while. And it's slowly becoming a reality. And I think I'm finally starting to see a light at the end of that tunnel. So, without any jokes or anything that else I'm thinking of to ruin this, I just got to say thank you. Thank you for giving me an unforgettable experience. And hopefully we have another. Thank you.